This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Ricky Widmer here, along with the one, the only, Brandon Swanson.
Hey.
Brandon wearing his green today, a little bit early for St. Patty's Day. However, we're coming a day early for you guys here on the Primetime Podcast because it's bracket time. We wanted to get this out as soon as possible. We could have waited until Monday, but A, I'm a views guy. I like to get things up as soon as possible.
You're a whore.
To get the most views for it. Number two, we got to give the people what they ask for, and you guys want to know what we're thinking. The bracket has been announced. The field of 64 is here. We will, by the way, also have a tournament challenge. That link will be down below in the description. But a little bit of housekeeping here at the beginning of the podcast. If you want to support us on Patreon, want to be on a podcast like Matt will be later today, check out the $10 tier on Patreon, link in the description. Check out our store where you can get an MVP t-shirt. Look at mostvaluablepodcast.com. That's where you get everything for MVP each and every day. And then last but not least, if you're on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating. Even if you're on YouTube and you have an Apple account, give us a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to us. But Brandon, we're going 4 segments today. We're going the South, then we're going into the West, then we're going to have Matt on, we're going to talk about the East, and then we're going to finish things out with the Midwest. So looking at the South, what I'm going to do is kind of break it down really quick, and then we can just talk whatever we want about the region. Here's the bracket, and I'll try to put it up for our YouTube listeners. We've got Virginia versus University Maryland, Baltimore County. Then the 8-9, we've got Creighton, Kansas State. Number 5, Kentucky playing number 12, Davidson. Number 4, Arizona going up against number 13, Buffalo. Number 6, Miami playing the hometown team for us. Number 11, Loyola Chicago. Number 3, Tennessee playing 14, Wright State. 7, Nevada going up against Mo Bamba and the number 10, Texas Longhorns. And number 2, Cincinnati going up against the R.J. Hunterless 15 seed, Georgia State. So the first thing I want to ask you, Brandon, is usually what we're going to save for the end of everything else, only because we're going to start with the top. Number 1 overall seed, Virginia. They're the favorite to win it all, right? They are the favorite to win it all, and with the road that they could face, will they?
They are the favorite to win it all, and Virginia has been a very good team throughout the year, and it's because they're so good defensively. And they're going to continue to be good defensively. I mean, you look at the road that they've got, and I think that they very much could. They very well could win it all. Look at this road. So you start things off, you're going to win your first game. Mm-hmm. If you don't, you made history because you lost to a 16 seed. Then you're either playing Creighton or Kansas State. I'm probably going to go Kansas State, but you beat them. Virginia's winning these games based on their defense. Mm-hmm. Then you're getting to a spot where you're most likely going to be playing Zona. And again, I think Virginia can win that game. And from there, you're playing Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a good team, but I think Virginia's a great team. Mm-hmm. So Virginia does. They have the route to be able to do it. I don't think they have an extremely difficult journey there, but let's just think and see. Not see, but say rather. Mm-hmm. Virginia doesn't have a very good defensive game.
Yeah.
Do they have enough firepower to be able to win? I'd say no.
No, they don't. That's the thing.
And that's where, before you get going on your point, is I think Virginia is good enough to win given their defense. Mm-hmm. But if on a given night their defense does not show up and they struggle, they will lose.
Well, and the thing that I'm thinking about when it comes to Virginia is it's funny you say that, because for me right now, everything could change. Don't ask me who I'm picking for sure until brackets lock in the first game. Yeah, until the first game start on Thursday. But right now, I just quickly went boom, 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 and picked my bracket for the region. You said most likely Arizona plays them. Yeah. I don't have Arizona playing Virginia in that Sweet 16 game because I have the one team I wanted to talk about from this region, the team that I think will be the top, that they will be the most likely double-seeded team to get into the second weekend, a team that just went on the run in their conference tournament to win it all, Davidson. I've got Davidson upset over Kentucky. Right now, I've got them upset over Arizona, Virginia. It's the second time on a podcast I'm going to call them something other than what they are. I think I called them Virginia Tech in the segment we recorded with Matthew earlier as we record this out of order. But this is a team that even if they play Virginia, if Virginia doesn't have a great defensive game, Davidson can beat them. They can knock down some shots and get past Virginia. I don't see that happening right now until I change it. Virginia's in my Final Four, most likely playing like a Michigan or something, but that is a team that could beat them if they get to the Sweet 16, or if Kentucky gets there, how Kentucky played in their conference tournament.
Well, I was just going to say, Kentucky is the team that Davidson has to play first, and I know that 5-12 is always one of those dangerous ones, and it's one of those likely candidates for an upset, but Kentucky's playing some of their best basketball right now.
They are.
And, yeah, could you have said Kentucky was not a good team earlier in the season? Yeah, you could have, and you would have been right. But Kentucky is playing really well right now. They're hot. That's dangerous. I think Kentucky actually can win that first game, and I think they will. But still, you get a hot Kentucky team then, and you have Arizona most likely. But again, if Ayton does not have a good game and you hold him down, the other team can win. I mean, Buffalo could win that game.
No, they could.
I mean, legitimately, could they? Legitimately, any of these teams could win.
I almost
There's
had
a reason
Buffalo
they're
winning
here.
that one. I almost had the Bulls winning that one.
But if you're able to hold down DeAndre Ayton, you're most likely going to win because Arizona, I mean, outside of a couple other guys, they don't have a huge offensive explosion from anyone else. Like Ayton's usually their go-to guy, especially in terms of, not just in terms of scoring, but in terms of rebounds, in terms of just getting in the way, making plays. I don't know what else they'd be able to do without him. So if a team's able to kind of keep him low in terms of scoring, they could definitely have a chance. Buffalo could do that, but I still see Arizona being able to be the team that's there against Virginia.
Now, another team in this region that kind of speaks out to me only because I don't know how to gauge them, especially after the first game. I have them winning their first game. It'll be Tennessee. I have them beating Wright State. However, everything after that. So Tennessee's a team that in the conference tournament, they won, what would that be there? 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth game in a row at that point. They beat Mississippi State. Then they go ahead and kind of blow out, I'll say, Arkansas for their 7th straight. And then in the final, which happened it happened today, Kentucky beat them 77-72. And it was a game where, of course, if Gilgeous-Alexander, who was in our last big board for the NBA draft, didn't have 29, then Kentucky doesn't win that game. But Tennessee to me is that weird team of like, yeah, you're a 3 seed, but how confident should I be in you? Right now, I have them penciled in to a Sweet 16 matchup with Cincinnati and the Bearcats, with the Bearcats winning that game. However, I could see them maybe losing to a Loyola Chicago in the second round or losing to a Miami, whoever wins that matchup between the 6 and the 11 in the first round before that. What is your kind of barometer? What are you kind of feeling about Tennessee?
Well, I think Miami's going to do really well. Miami has done well, and they've been one of those teams.
I just got to pick the hometown team. That's why I got Loyola Chicago.
But you don't have to pick the hometown team. You're choosing to.
It's how I do.
You're choosing to, and it's totally you. But Miami's going to win that first game, and Miami's going to beat Tennessee. I think so. Yeah, I do. I think Miami is too good of a team. They've actually been pretty strong throughout the season. I mean, you look at when they played North Carolina, when they played Duke, they played those teams very, very well. They got some wins. They're not a slouch team for sure. I mean, they're a 6, but they're no slouch for sure. So watch out for Miami. I don't actually think. I think Tennessee has had themselves a nice season, but I don't think they're going to have themselves a elongated run here in the tournament.
And let's be honest, with Miami, their last loss, because everyone's going to look at the conference tournament and kind of overanalyze the conference tournament in a lot of cases. And when I look at that, they just ran into a very good North Carolina team where it was a 1-point game at half, but then North Carolina goes ahead and outscores them 50-34 in the second half, to where that's a team. I know that they're in another region, but I was almost right. I'm going to say I was almost right about them. When they beat Duke, I looked at Dave when we were out to dinner. I'm like, I'm going to be right. UNC is going to beat Virginia tomorrow. They're going to beat Virginia, and I'm going to be right. They're going to win the ACC. Now, they didn't. Virginia won that one, but I was almost right. They're going to be a team to watch in this tournament for sure. But, like, Miami, they could go on a run, especially what they have, where Loyola Chicago, I mean, you usually expect the 6 to beat the 11, but then also Tennessee, which I would say is a weaker 3. And then even, like, Cincinnati, I know they're a good team, but out of all the 2 seeds, I would say they're the, third weakest to me? And that's only because UNC and Duke are 2 seeds. Like, the only team that I might put below the Bearcats for weaker 2 seed is Purdue. Sorry, Matt. Purdue might be my weakest 2 seed right now, only because of their tournament history and usually what happens to Purdue. But they don't have to go up against the UNC or the Duke in order to reach that Elite 8 game, which could be, if they get there, an ACC Elite 8 with Virginia playing Miami.
Yeah. Miami is a good team. Miami is a very
Lonnie
good
Walker's
team. So
starting to feel it too.
I don't think people can sleep on them. Again, they're a 6 seed, and people are going to say, well, hey, even if they do really well, they're going to be going up against Cincinnati. Cincinnati, for as good as they've been all season long, and they really have been, they are penetrable. Like, you can get through them. And Miami, with their defense, with how they play, they're a team that can do it. If it comes down to Cincinnati, Miami, I may have a tough time picking Cincinnati.
Now, one of the last teams I want to mention and talk about before we just give general thoughts about any team we didn't hit is the one team that I know you, and correct me if I'm wrong, surprised that they're even in the tournament with number 10 seed in this region, Texas. What are your thoughts about Texas in the South region of the NCAA tournament?
I actually said Texas when you asked me on a podcast a couple of weeks back, will Texas make it? I said yes, and they have. But they're weak. I mean, they're weak as a number 10. They're 19-14. They ended the season better than I thought they would. And
they kind of sputtered.
And did I think that they would make it? I said yes. Clearly, I did think they would make it, but that didn't mean that I thought that they'd be a strong team. I truly don't think that they're going to get past Nevada and win in that first game. I don't think they are, because Mo Bamba is great. But how about the other night? They're playing against Texas Tech. They're playing a really close game against Texas Tech. You know how many points Mo Bamba had in that game, right down to some of the final moments? 10. He had 10 flipping points. That's not enough. That's not enough to be able to beat a really good team.
Well, and the thing that I think kind of mismatches with Texas is I look at the top 4 scorers for Nevada. They're all double digits. Listen to their heights, by the way. Caleb Martin, who's a forward, he's 6'7". Then you also have Jordan Caroline, Champaign kid from Illinois, 6'7". Then you also have Cody Martin. He's a forward, 6'7". And then you have Kendall Stevens, St. Charles, Illinois kid. He's a guard, 6'7". So they're all kind of sitting there right even at 6'7". I wonder if even having guards that are 6'7", if that will... I know Mo Bamba is taller than them, especially with the wingspan that he has, but I wonder if the overall size, because 6'7" is big. It is big for a guard, and especially someone who's handling the basketball. I know we have point forwards now in the NBA, but a guard being 6'7" is kind of big to me. Do you think that length at all, having 4 players who are 6'7", is going to give Texas trouble, especially in that first round game? Because that's what they got to do before they move on, is beat Nevada.
Yeah, it's definitely going to give them trouble. I mean, I think on Texas, you've got Mo Bamba. I'm not trying to say that any of the other players aren't big enough, but Bamba is your guy. Bamba is your big dude.
There's a reason why he's a top 10 pick right now, projected in the
exactly.
NBA.
And you just said a guard at 6'7"? I don't think so. I mean, the fact that you've got a guy that's that big, he's your guard, that's incredible. I don't think Texas is getting past their first round game. They made it. That's very nice. It's good. It represents their conference. But I do not think they're getting past that first round. I don't think they have enough.
And like I look at it, and the only players that Texas has that plays significant minutes that are above that 6'7", you have Osterkowski, who is 6'9", according to the roster. You've got Mo Bamba, who is 6'11", James Banks, who's a sophomore, 6'10", and then the only other guys besides that are Jericho Sims, who's a freshman, and Royce Ham Jr., 6'8", who's a freshman. So 2 freshmen, a sophomore, and then your major juniors are the only 5 players that they have above 6'7". Everyone else is between 6'1" and 6'6" on that team. Not a huge make or break, but when you've got a guy that's 6'7" going up against Roach the second, who he's only 6'4" on the stat sheet, that's something that I think will play into it, especially because of those bigger guards. Before we move on, any team you think in this region for the South that we didn't mention? I know we didn't talk about Arizona much. I know we didn't give much love to Cincinnati. Any team you think we should give love to before we move on into the West, I believe, is where we're going.
I don't want to take too much time on them, but I do want to give love to Cincinnati.
We do have the time, so go ahead.
With them being a 2, and with them having a 30-4 record overall, they were a strong team throughout this season. I mean, honestly, I think that you really have to watch out for Cincinnati. They've got firepower. They can be beat, but they are a good team. They are a good team, and they've played well all season long.
Well, and the thing that I have to double check on this, I believe they played today, and they were that team, I believe. I'm just double checking really quick. They're that team that they only won today by 1 point. Over Houston. Houston, the team, I know we're going to get to them in a separate bracket. They were the team you said had to have a strong conference tournament to get into the field of 64, and you were the one that was dead right. Houston made a run. The only way that Cincinnati won the game is on their defense, and number 2, it was 55 all. Can't remember who was at the line. It might have been Evans for Cincinnati. Bricks the first shot, makes the second shot. Cougars, with 1 second left, had a timeout, didn't get anything to go, didn't get the shot to fall at the end as they almost turned it away out of bounds, I believe, or did turn it away out of bounds. Lost 56-60 or 55. Cincinnati is a team, though, because of that, are they susceptible to being upset is the point that I was trying to get at. Especially, I know it's conference time, but it's like, when you get to a Virginia, if you get to play a Miami, who we talked about, if, let's say, a Nevada team comes out and they are playing hot, does that kind of read into, hey, you know what, Houston almost beat you, so maybe one of these teams could get you. And I know it's March. You got to have your A game each and every day. Any thought on that before we move on?
I guess I just feel like any team is susceptible to an upset.
Of course. And it's March.
With where Cincinnati is, there are 2 in the region that they are. Yes, it could happen, but I do think that I think the Bearcats actually are poised for a pretty good run.
Well, and this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think of the South region down below in the comment section. Who's going to be your biggest upset? Who's the team you got coming out of this one? And is it the Virginia Cavaliers? Let us know what you guys think down below in that comment section.